Okay, shalom everybody, and welcome back, and welcome to the new people to the class, B'ezrat Hashem. So we're continuing with where we left off at the end of Likutey Moharan, lesson 24, where finally Rebbe Nachman begins to open up the deeper meaning, or at least one of the deeper meaning, based on his perception of the exchange between Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania and this wise men of Athens. Just to recap, the actual question they asked was, where is the center of the universe? He raised his finger, some say his hand, his finger, and he said right over here. They asked him, who says, Miyemar? And he said, bring a measuring rope, Aitu Ashle Umoshchu. Bring a measuring rope and you'll see that this is the center of the universe, okay? So now we started to see how Rebbe Nachman begins to open up the concepts of the question. They're basically asking, Emtsa'uta de Alma, where's the center of the universe? And Rabbi Nachman says this is referring to the Or Ein Sof, the infinite light. So we asked, 1 second, based on the Kabbalah, the infinite light is around the universe. How you say it's in the center of the universe? We know, based on the introduction of the Etz Chaim, the deepest parts of the Kabbalah, that Hashem created initially a vacated hollow space in himself, and himself being the infinite light everywhere. Hashem made a hollow within himself, as if to say, Kivyachol, and in that hollow he shot a ray of light coming from the infinite light into the center point. So we explained, based on the Zohar and the Kabbalah and the Midrash, that the middle point of the creation of the hollowness that began the creation is the earth. Where on the earth? Israel, the Holy Land. Where in the Holy Land? Yerushalayim. Where in Yerushalayim? The Holy Temple, the Beit Hamikdash. Where in the Beit Hamikdash? In the Holy of Holies. Where in the Holy of Holies? The point of what's called the foundation stone. The light hit the middle point, creating the foundation stone, and then the foundation stone, Even Shetiyah, began to form the world like a vegetable. Like, like if you can look at an eggplant or tomato, you have the stem. From the stem begins like a ball and develop from the branch of the stem, and it begins to form. It's not like the world that is created from the center core. No, the world is created from the foundation stone at the top of the Holy Land, on the land, the surface, and then going like this. Okay? So now we want to bring, before we continue where we left off, and just to go over to reiterate the points, the Midrash Tanchuma says two statements regarding the creation of the world. One, it says it's like an embryo. An embryo in the mother's womb. How is it formed? From the belly button, the tabur. That there's the umbilical cord from the mother, and right, going into the umbilical, into the belly button is where the child begins its formation. It starts from that point, and then the formation spreads from the left to the right, top, bottom. This is the wording of the Midrash, by the way. Like a creation of an embryo, is that it starts spreading in all four directions: the head, the feet, the torso, the arms. Okay, extending in four directions, but starting not at the brain, not at the heart, at the embryo, at the belly button. Unbelievable. Okay, so too the world was created like an embryo, growing from the belly button, the tabur. Yerushalayim, the Holy of Holies, is called in the language of the sages tabur haaretz, the belly button of the whole world, of the world, tabur haolam, tabur haaretz of the Holy Land, and of course by the whole world. So it starts like an embryo, okay, and then it spreads out, and then that's the whole rest of creation. And then technically, that's the comparison. But when the child is born, there's no longer a need for the umbilical cord, and it's cut off, and it's not needed. The Zohar says no, that even after the world was created, it's still dependent on the umbilical cord, which is likened to the infinite light shining from the Chalal HaPanui, from the outside, from the extensions of the vacated space, which is Hashem's infinite light. going down this quote-unquote umbilical cord and continues to give what's called mazon vehaspaka. That's the word, the wording of the Zohar. It's nourishment, in other words, food, and haspaka, enough of their necessities, must speak. In other words, enough of their necessities until they say it's enough, I'm okay, I can manage, okay? Mazon vehaspaka. This is one statement from the Midrash Tanchuma with elaboration from the Zohar. A second one is the famous one that we know, is that from the foundation stone came out like veins, gidin. The veins connect to the rest of the world. In a vegetable, you take a look at a tomato, you see also the veins, technically, even like a grape also, you see types of veins in the fruit coming from the point where it was formed from, and you have inside little veins. Even like an embryo also, you have the veins coming from the umbilical cord extending out, okay? So these gidin are still connected to their foundation stone, the belly button, which is Yerushalayim. So the Midrash says, if you recall this, that King Solomon, Rebbe Nachman even quotes this Midrash, that King Solomon was so wise that he knew where to plant various fruits and vegetables that could only grow in certain climates and temperatures. He could make it that a vegetable that needs a very hot climate, like pilpilin, peppers or hot peppers, chili peppers, which were growing in India, he knew how to plant them in Yerushalayim. He knew where to locate the nerves. The nerves extended from the physical nerves of the world, of the creation, from the foundation stone Yerushalayim, and would extend to the rest of the world, even reaching again to the surface. So King Solomon was so wise, the Midrash says, that he knew just by moving a few kilometers here and there, oh, right over here you can plant peppers that need a very hot temperature. Like for example, cocoa beans, they can only grow in very, very hot temperatures. Here in Yerushalayim, he knew exactly where to plant them. Over here, over there, in Lebanon also, he knew exactly where to go to plant. His wisdom was such that he knew how to reconnect to the beginning formation of the world, where, this is in our context of lesson 24, where the infinite light continues to shine. He was able to locate, okay, and find where's the root. Once you connect to the root, it doesn't matter what temperature it is. If now the vegetables that I'm planting, they're next to the root, and anyways the whole world, even India and Hawaii and Africa, they're all connected to Yerushalayim. Just they have veins that cause them, they need temperatures to grow certain vegetables. If now you know where the veins are, then even if it's adaptable to a certain temperature, you can still plant over there because it's sensitive to the tip of that, so quote unquote, like a nerve of the earth, the vein of the earth, and plant there the vegetables that need a hot temperature and they can go into cold temperature. So like in the Ukraine where it's freezing cold, if you know where the vein of the creation is, you can technically plant, like with King Solomon's wisdom, the types of vegetables that need a hot temperature and that cold area. Okay, that's what the Midrash says about King Solomon. That was his wisdom, that he knew how to reconnect to the root, and when that happens, it doesn't matter the temperature. Okay, these are two things the Midrash says. Okay, so now with this in mind, let's see back in the text, and let's point out some other ramifications and specifications that come out because of this Midrash, plus a further development of the question of what really the wise men were really asking. Okay? So again, they said like this, Shaluoto, I'm reading in the text again, Rebbe Nachman's explanation of the challenge between the wise men of Athens and Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. Ech masigin or ein sof. How does one perceive the infinite light? Shu emtza ad alma, which is, as we said, the center of the world, which is Yerushalayim, the Beit Hamikdash, the Holy of Holies, the Evan Shetiyah, that till today the Zohar says clearly that even though the temple is destroyed, okay, still the world continues to receive nourishment from that point of the foundation stone that till today is receiving divine light, the ray of light from the infinite light, which sends nourishment to the entire world, is still coming from the Beit Hamikdash, the place of the Holy of Holies, the place of the foundation stone, till today. Okay? The thing is, you don't see anything. It's destroyed. It's totally destroyed. And the Zohar is saying, yet, even though it's destroyed, it is still bringing enough nourishment for the entire creation and the world. So again, the word of Rebbe Nachman, let's take a look inside. Shehu emtza'ad alma, the infinite light, which is the center of the world, which based on that term that they're using, they're referring to the ray of infinite light that shines to the Beit Hamikdash Yerushalayim till today. How does one connect to that infinite light? Shemimenu hakol shuavin chayut vashefa. That from that center point, everybody, hakol, is drawing life force and bounty. In other words, chayut is life force, sustenance, and shefa is bounty. Let's take a look. What's the difference between chayut and shefa? Chayut is minimum necessity to live. Chayut, chay, to be sustained, to live, you need a basic minimum energy, nourishment, physically, spiritually, mentally, whatever it is, to survive. That's chayut. Shefa is when there's bounty, when it allows you to have flexibility. Not like you're like chained in a prison cell and we give you minimum to live. That's chayut. Shefa is now I can do things, I can move around, I can breathe, I can think, I can do things that enable me to advance. That's shefa. So now in the Midrash, we saw two examples. The example of the embryo and the example of the veins with King Solomon. Why the necessity of the Torah, the Midrash, to give us two analogies? Or stick just of the embryo, which makes perfect sense, like an embryo forming, fine, I got that. Or the Gidin, like King Solomon, the Gidin, that there was the center point, the foundation stone, and like nerves, like in a fruit, there's nerves and everything, like veins, whatever. Veins, not nerves, sorry, that are being drawn from the beginning point of the fruit. So to the world is created like that. Why the necessity for both? Okay? So an embryo is in order to create life, chayut. The initial stage of life, chayut, the Midrash brings the analogy of the embryo, because we want to create life now. So chayut, like an embryo, the formation of a child, so we need that analogy for the point of the chayut, the basic necessity to live. The analogy of King Solomon, where it says he knew where to plant pilpelin, peppers. Peppers, as you know, is not an absolute necessity for survival. It's not the basic food. They say basic food is bread and water. Okay, today bread is a problem. Not everyone eats bread. Whatever. There's supplements instead of bread for those who have celiac. Whatever. But basic nourishment is not necessarily peppers. And in fact, if we're talking about hot peppers, not everybody eats hot peppers. So why the analogy of the Midrash? Not knowledge. Why the presentation of the Midrash Tanchuma on King Solomon knew how to plant peppers? You know, that's for enjoyment. So that's and King Solomon being a tzaddik, and we know Rebbe Nachman says tzaddikim when they eat, like he says in lesson number 19 and also lesson 31, they're not just eating the food, they're eating the letter combinations that are in the food, and from the letter combinations, able to collect sparks and resend energy back to Hashem. That's when tzaddikim eat. They're not eating food. When they're eating a carrot, they're eating the letter Gimel, Zayin, and Reish, and then all the combinations that it makes, and then bring it back in a blessing and prayer and Torah format. The energy they have from those letters then is transformed in their devotions, and they bring it back. That's what every Jew, every person who eats for the sake of serving Hashem, at his or her own level, whatever it is, the food that comes in, so you're nourishing from the letters of the Aleph Bet, which are giving nourishment to this carrot, to this apple, to this sandwich, to this piece of chicken, and this egg, whatever it is. And now the energy of the letters, the spiritual energy of the letters in that food item, it becomes a part of you. And then with that energy, you start davening and learning and doing mitzvot. So now you're resending back to Hashem in a different format, the energy that He gave you, allowed you to take in. That's why we say the bracha before eating and the bracha after eating. Bracha before eating, that I should succeed by praising Hashem, recognizing this food item is from Him. I should succeed in taking the food item and then having it transformed, and then Bezat Hashem sending it back in a format that comes back in Avodat Hashem, okay? And then we say a blessing afterwards in order to strengthen that point, Bezat Hashem, all right? So this is the idea of pilpelin. by King Solomon that he said he knew where to plant pilpilin. What do I mean? What does it help? Him being the wisest man, and the wisdom of King Solomon is the wisdom that is mentioned in Likutey Moharan, this lesson 24. It's Birkat HaSechel. It's the blessing of the intellect. It's the intellect in order to be a vessel to perceive the infinite light. That was King Solomon. He was eating pilpilin not because he just enjoyed eating pilpilin. He was eating pilpilin in order to know how to tap into the infinite light found in the pilpilin, in the peppers, hot peppers. What do I care about hot peppers? But he knew where to plant it. And him, instead of importing all the way from India pilpilin, you ask, why not just import? King Solomon, you're such a big king. Why do you have to trouble yourself to find where locally, where in the Holy Land I can plant the pilpilin? Just import. You had in your time access to India, Hodu, like we know Hodu is mentioned in the Torah already, right? By Megillat Esther, etc. It's an ancient country, and there's peppers and spices growing galore. Okay, import. Why the need to have it locally? King Solomon wasn't just making it easy for for business reasons, for culture and making money wise. His interest was he wanted to plant at the roots of the veins that are connected to the Even Shetia. Meaning what? He was looking to produce a fruit that's so connected to a vein, has a vein that has nothing to do with the place and the location of the world. It has to do with its proximity to the Even Shetia, which is what? More proximity to the infinite light, which possibly means he was looking how to bring down bounty from a higher level, a higher place, a higher level of holiness, without leaving the Holy Land, having to bring food items from outside, having all the nourishment come from Eretz Yisrael. So in that term, I can understand shefa, bounty. He was looking to find a channel how to bring down bounty from the highest of levels in a more accessible way and close by and in the Holy Land, B'ezrat Hashem. So you have here chayut shefa. Chayut, like the embryos analogy. Shefa, King Solomon's presentation in the Midrash of how he knew where to plant everything. Both are needed for survival and for bounty. Because in life, this is very important also, in life, because of all the ups and downs you go through, there are times that you can only do the barest minimum. You're going through such crazy things in life, like you're like so rock bottom in life, you can only do the basic minimum right now. Even when it comes to serving Hashem, you're just not in the mood. You're so upside down. You have a whole study schedule, a davening schedule, a schedule in life, and it was just made all upside down, and you're upside down. But doesn't mean, okay, because it's upside down, so I'll drop everything. No. Such a person doesn't drop everything. He does the basic necessities in serving Hashem. The tzaddikim, they teach us of the 613 mitzvot of the Torah, and then their branches, which will number into thousands now, thousands of specific items in the Torah. The tzaddikim tell us which ones you never budge from, which one your chayut comes from. Like for example, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says in Halacha that if you have an upside down day, there has to be one Torah study that you are committed to do through thick and thin, no matter what. Whether you're traveling, you're on vacation, whether this, that, there's one study that you have to keep. Rebbe Nachman says, by the way, that one is halacha. Halacha is with you through thick and thin, even in jail, wherever you are. I have to admit, I was like incarcerated in the jail here for about 4 or 5 hours, but it wasn't so bad because in the cell, there was a Shulchan Aruch waiting for me. So I could even learn halacha even when I was in jail on that day, just as an analogy, okay? So Baruch Hashem, having a basic, it's called chayut. Chayut is the basic advice of the tzaddikim, that the day cannot go by without these things. If it's the hitbodedut, the halacha, other basic advice that the tzaddikim reveal that have to be done in a minimum, okay? That's chayut. Okay, also when for physical sustenance, there's a person who's dying, who's sick, chas v'shalom, he has to eat a minimum. He can't just not eat anything. You have to give him some minimum water, minimum soup, whatever, okay? That's chayut. Now, shefa is the days when things are going smoothly, things are better, things are advancing, Baruch Hashem. So there's shefa, so I can do much more. I can do much more for Hashem. So you need days that we have chayut and shefa. Both emanate from the infinite light. That's what he's saying here. From the Or Ein Sof. Okay, fine. So now I just want to finish off with this amazing point. There's a beautiful, beautiful commentary on the Likutey Moharan, and it's unfortunately he didn't finish the entire Likutey Moharan. The guy's a genius. The guy's unbelievable. His name is Rav Barlev, and he wrote a commentary called Orach Mishor on the Likutey Moharan, who explains so amazingly and clearly the points of the Likutey Moharan, asks good questions, and he re-expresses what Rebbe Nachman is saying in such an amazing format. So here he says something amazing, based on the Zohar, that says that even today, that there's no Beit Hamikdash, there's no Kodesh Kodashim, there's no Even Shetiyah, and still we get our nourishment. The guy in Alabama, the guy in Texas, the guy in Timbuktu, the guy in Alaska, everyone in the world, Jew, non-Jew, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I don't know, whoever in the world they are, they're all gaining chayut and shefa, sustenance and bounty from Yerushalayim. Okay? So the question is, like the Zohar says, first of all, but there's nothing here, it's destroyed. There's just a wall, there's a western wall, Kotel. There's Arabs there who build 2 mosques over there. What do we have? Where's them? You don't see anything. You don't see. And yet the Zohar says you have to believe that the shefa is coming down from Ein Sof through Yerushalayim, Beit Hamikdash, Kodesh Kodeshim, etc. to the whole world. Okay. So they're saying, and now this explanation is phenomenal because this answers why Rebbe Nachman, the Gemara uses a term that doesn't relate to what Rebbe Nachman says. The Gemara says, Emtsauta de alma hecha. Where is, where? Where? And then Rebbe Nachman said, how does he explain hecha? Ech. Hecha, and it was shashalu oto, ech masigin or ensof. This is Rebbe Nachman's interpretation. How? Rebbe Nachman changed hecha, which is where? Where's the center of the universe? That makes more sense. And he said they're actually saying how. So he says something amazing, the Orach Mishor, which answers both. He said, the secular people today, the secular Jews and the Goy society, they try to tell the Jewish people who are religious, what do you guys have? You have absolutely nothing. You have a destroyed temple, and you want to tell us that all the bounty in the world comes from there? The capital of the entire universe is Yerushalayim, Beit Hamikdash, Kodesh Kodashim? No! When secular people come to Israel, where are they going? To Tel Aviv. They don't go to Yerushalayim. They go to Yerushalayim as like a tourist attraction and to see the old relics of the temple and this and that. That's it. Maybe they see King David's grave and all these things, but they're more attracted to downtown Yerushalayim, the falafel restaurants and everything, and they want all that type of stuff. Okay? They're not convinced. For them, wow, what's powerful is downtown Tel Aviv with the buildings and everything. Or, and now on a worldly level, where does the world consider to be the center of the universe? Downtown New York City, with all the big buildings, Wall Street, Malibu, Beverly Hills, the people who have rich, the people who are tycoons, and they have tons of money. These are the center of the universe. So the challenge of the wise men of Athens is where? You Jewish people, outdated, archaic. You want to say that we are alive thanks to this destroyed like mound of rubble of the temple of Yerushalayim, and we're dependent on it? You say, where is it? We're convinced the evil side, using as their forefront the secular skeptics and atheists and philosophers who want to say, it's this world that matters, so it's this world that matters. And therefore, according to logic and rationale, New York City, downtown, that's the center of the universe. Or the Diamond Exchange in London, I don't know, all the places where there's a lot of wealth and bounty and everything, that's the center of the universe. Not Yerushalayim, outdated Yerushalayim, destroyed temple, what? What in the world? So they're asking, where is it? It's by us. And if you, Yosef ben Chanyana, say it's by you, so then what Rebbe Nachman says, how? How can it be? How can it be? Unbelievable. So he says that the Rebbe Nachman explains, in order for us to receive from the center of the universe, you have to create the 9 chambers. And the 9 chambers are created when there's what's called a betisha. When you get a smack, you get a setback, right? The betisha creates the 9 chambers. What does that mean, in other words? In life, whether Jew or non-Jew, whether religious or non-religious, you go through challenges in life. I'm sorry if you thought when you were young that the grass is green on the other side and it's exciting and this and that, and then it's going to fine and dandy. You're wrong. Anyone who's lived life will attest and testify that life is filled with challenges. Like it says in a Mishnah, I think in Eduyot, that we stand up for an old person, even if he's a Gentile. Why? Because he went through so much in life and he's still around, and he went through all the challenges and he's still alive. He didn't commit suicide, he didn't die yet, and he's still around. So he earns enough respect that we do stand up for a goy who's old. We have respect for an old elder, even if it's a goy, because of what he went through. He could be even a bad person, but the fact that he's still around and he went through the challenges and he's still holding on, that earns a lot. Everyone will tell us that this world has crazy challenges, okay? Rebbe Nachman says, take the challenges and turn it into building blocks. The challenges you're going through, it's up to you for it to create 9 chambers for the infinite light or nothing to go to waste. It's up to you. Everybody in life has the setbacks and difficulties. Now you want to transform what you're going through as part of the growth process, fine and dandy. That's what he was saying, Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. My finger, the bracha, the blessings, which cause the bouncing into the keter and then creating 9 chambers, that is how I'm able to show that even though the temple is destroyed, the idea of the temple being destroyed, meaning, what do you have? You have nothing in life. In other words, the temple being destroyed and yet giving nourishment is exact same idea. Again, listen closely. It's exact same idea as when you are going through setbacks. It's not working out. This and that. That attitude is similar to the temple being destroyed. Look at the temple destroyed. There's nothing here. That's equal to when a person has the setbacks and he feels, I'm just a waste of life, a waste of time, and Hashem doesn't even need me, and Hashem doesn't want me, and I'm just wasting my time in this Jewish thing and Torah thing. Let me just die in peace. Let me just take a bottle. That's equivalent to Churban Beit Hamikdash. Okay? What's Rabbi Yeshua ben Chanya saying? It was never really destroyed. And if it seems destroyed, the destruction of the temple is in itself a vessel to receive the infinite light even today. That's why he raised here. And also, another point, by him raising his finger, Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya is an outstanding tzaddik. He himself has the power of the Beit Hamikdash. Like we said this many times, the Midrash says that the death of the tzaddikim is twice as severe as the destruction of the Beit Hamikdash. Why? Because they do the same functionability as the temple. The temple's purpose was and is to bring infinite light into the world. The tzaddikim also, their job is to be like a conduit of the Beit HaMikdash and also channel infinite light to the world. That's why it's such a big thing, tzaddikim. We go crazy over tzaddikim. Why? Just learn Torah. No, you need tzaddikim. Why? Because they're able to shine the infinite light into the world, okay? Plus, in Galut, we don't have the actual physical temple. So in this, the tzaddikim have an advantage that they also know how, in a manageable way, to bring light into Galut. Whereas by Jews, they have to work really hard to connect to the temple. Like the question is, there's no temple here. There's just stones. Like the famous joke I've said many times, that when Golda Meir was prime minister, she brought President Carter to the hotel, the Western Wall, and she explained that this is the place where all your requests are answered. And he said, oh, that's great. If I asked that the economy of America go up and up and up, my prayers will be answered? She said, yes, of course. Oh, great. And if I asked that America should be the superpower force over the USSR, Russia, my prayers will be answered? And she said, yes. Oh, great. And if I asked that the Israelis make peace with the Arabs, my prayers will be answered? And she said, no, now you're talking to the wall. The wall, okay? To connect to the Beit HaMikdash, and there's only walls there. All you can do is just believe. You don't see, but you have to, with emunah you see, but it's not easy. Most people go there, they see a wall, they have some emotions that come up, nostalgia, from the family tradition of the Beit HaMikdash, being a Jew, being an observant Jew. So you have that, but that's like the maximum you can do. And get up at midnight and mourn over the temple. It's not down to earth, it's not like so intimate, it's something far, but I'm trying to connect to it, okay. But the tzaddikim are able, while we're in Galut, they know how to bring a format of infinite light that even in the middle of nowhere, Timbuktu, in the middle of Honolulu, wherever, they can shine this big light by their teachings, and I'm flipping out with this divine connection. I just had a guy recently from Montana, and he's so into Rebbe Nachman's teachings. From Montana there, he's able to connect, and he has such a divine inspiration, so to speak, of his perspective, of hitbodedut and everything, just in Montana, just from the teachings of Rebbe Nachman. They give him such a light. So this idea that the tzaddikim, they shine that thing. So they can't see that. And Rabbi Shua ben Chananya is raising his finger to say, I can do it. With my setbacks in life, I can activate the infinite light as a tzaddik. That's why he raised his finger, zakva etzba'ata, his finger, because that's the job of the tzaddikim, like the Beit Hamikdash. But going back, that's their question. That remains the question. Always they get the Jewish people. Look at you. You're wasting your life. You're wasting your time. You're running after like a balloon, an imaginary. Just come back to reality. See money, food, the world, houses, car, education. That's what counts. That's what's important. That's what they want to say. And we're saying, no, everything you have comes from the infinite light, from the center of the world, which is Hecha. It's in Yerushalayim still. It's the center of the world. You guys said itself. You said itself. Where is it? You said you guys want to say the umbilical cord moved. It's no longer just like they want to say that the umbilical cord, once it did its purpose, all the shefa from the infinite light, okay, you Jewish people claim there's infinite light. Okay, we'll agree with that. But it's in the world already. Just like an umbilical cord, you cut it, it's dead. It's no longer needed. So you cut it, it's dead. We say, no, we have an umbilical cord that we're still connected to. The Even Shetiyah is still connected to the umbilical cord, bringing chayut. And then the Gidin, also the shefa, to keep on going. So this is why both are needed. And this is what they were actually asking. And it's the question always asked, where is it? Where? Where's your infinite light? Where? Where's your Judaism? Where's your holiness? Huji buji? Where are you guys? You guys are wasting your time. And we say, Rabbi Shua ben Chananya laughs, and he says, right over here, we're still doing it. What? What do you have? You only have a setback. I said, yes. Our setbacks are being in exile, are being diminished, are being mocked now today with all the anti-Semitism on the media and in places in Canada now and all over. There's like crazy things happening. Everything's on the rise. So we're pursued in a sense. And dafka, in our pursuing, this is being pursued, this is how we create the infinite light. This is how we access the infinite light, not create the infinite light. This is how we create a connection. It's a vessel, the 9 vessels, the 9 chambers, to receive the infinite light. This is our secret of success. Is dafka, you're pursuing us. Okay, what can we do? But this was what builds us. Hashem created these vessels that we're going through of setbacks and difficulties and obstacles and being pursued. Like we said, all that is creating the infinite light for us. Vessels for the infinite light. That's how we're alive. So even though the Beit Hamikdash is not here, it's not being here and us feeling the lack. That itself, right? Pe'er tachat efer. Pe'er, glory, instead of ashes. All right? Instead of efer. So this is our secret to survival. This is also why the Jews had to go to Egypt and then come out. From Egypt, if it wasn't for the exile in Egypt, we would never be zocheh to the holiness of Eretz Yisrael. If it wasn't for everything we went through in exile, and now finally Jews have come back to Eretz Yisrael, we would never be able to have the experience of the Holy Land that we do have, okay? So this is basically the idea. We'll stop at this point. If you missed out part of the classes, don't worry, everything's recorded on SoundCloud, on YouTube, on Spotify. If you want to reach out about these topics, you can reach out to me. If you want to say hello, you can say hello. If you want to give feedback, I'm here, all ears to hear, but only on WhatsApp. Private message on WhatsApp only. Number is +1 732 800 1863. Once again, 732 800 1863. Shalom, be well, and I hope you enjoyed the class. Shalom, shalom, be well. Next week there won't be a class because it's Erev Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So it's a new beginning. We'll see when we touch base to start again. Shalom, shalom, be well.